internationally known when I be on the mic. I'm internationally known, yo. I'm internationally known when I be on the mic. So all hail the honorable. I'm internationally known when I be on the mic. I'm internationally known, yo. I'm internationally known when I be on the mic. So all hail the honorable. I'm internationally known when I be on the mic. I'm internationally known.
Welcome to the Being Neo podcast. Hey, oh my goodness, guys. Let me just tell you, right now in this moment, guess where I'm sitting? Okay, well, if you're looking at the video, you can see I'm sitting in front of the camera. I guess you could always say I'm sitting in front of the camera from doing the podcast, so that's always a safe answer. But I am in the apartment that I had moved to with the grandmother. Or I should say for the grandmother. Yes, for the grandmother is a more accurate depiction of where I am. So what I mean by that, I will say. But first, before we get into the subjective conversation that I guarantee is about to ensue, because this is the Being Neo podcast, I have to start with the fact. And so maybe you read the title, maybe you didn't. Break the cycle of insanity. What does that mean? Well, before we can get into breaking the cycle of insanity, let's talk about regret, shall we? Regret. The psychology of regret. Should we really aim to live our lives with no regrets? I have no regrets. Should we follow her advice? Her being Edith Piaf. She's a famous French singer. And she sang a song that said, I had no regrets. Should we follow her advice and live in the moment? Should we not look back without any self-judgment? Or can we sometimes learn valuable lessons from analyzing our behavior and its consequences? I don't know, it's a question. Regret, here's the fact. It's a negative cognitive or emotional state that involves blaming ourselves for a bad outcome, feeling a sense of loss or sorrow at what might have been, or wishing we could undo a previous choice that we made. That's regret. That's the definition. That's the fact. All right, so I just have to be honest with you guys. A lot going on. A lot going on is probably the understatement of 2024. And I literally wake up every morning right now using every ounce of energy I have throughout the day to get one thing done, the next thing done, so on and so forth, as I move through the 24-hour cycle. And in that same time, no matter what the challenges are that I'm facing each day, I still make it a point to reflect, respond, and adjust my today for the results of the things I want for my tomorrow. Being Neo, the Being New podcast, man, it's real. I'm not just on here talking about it as a radio show or podcast show. Who says radio show? But like the reality is this is real. As soon as I said that, I wanted to start quoting NF. This is real for me. NF real music. This is my life. This is what I go through. But this is like for real. This is the Being Neo podcast. This is me living my life. So complete transparency. It's been heavy. So I'm gonna roll up. We're gonna smoke, and we're gonna go down the rabbit hole together. Are we cool with that? Are we? All right. Listen. If you're not cool with that, I don't give a fuck, because this is the Being Neo podcast. And I'm glad, actually, that I didn't have that guest come on. I spoke about the guest coming on in episode 7. I think 7. And the reason I'm happy is because I feel like you guys don't know me yet. Whenever I bring stuff in the camera, you see I'm an automatic cameraman for those watching the video. Which, by the way, so FYI, if you are on Spotify, you have the option to watch this video. If you are on YouTube, not YouTube Music, but regular YouTube, you can watch this video. If you are on YouTube Music, Google Music, Apple Music, Google Podcasts, any of those things, you're going to do audio only. Pocket Casts, all of the other places that play podcasts will just be audio. The reason for that is because you asked. I upload video for the file, and the RSS feed sends to the other platforms, but it's depending on whether or not the other platforms support an RSS video feed. So that's what determines that. And on YouTube, because YouTube is going into this, trying to get their podcasts on YouTube Music instead of YouTube separately from Google Podcast, they are a little slow to react and get that stuff handled. So bear with them. All of that said, though, I am sitting in this apartment, I said, and this was the apartment I moved to when I was trying to be closer to the grandmother. And I just got here. I walked in the door. I had to set all the lights up, my camera, the computer, like all of this stuff. But the reality is, I don't know why the camera keeps it's distracting me. The reality is that it was such a whirlwind of emotions because I was irritated, smiling, at peace, and very reflective about all of it and the time spent and the things that happened here with the kids, the kind of like the routine, the games, the crying. Oh my goodness, it was a whirlwind of emotions. And so I started thinking about the whirlwind of emotions and reflecting on, like, dude, how did you get here? Like, again. And hence here we are in this regret thing, right? So you guys see me put my arms out, it's to bring the camera close. Or I could just do this. So Neo, I was trying to lose weight. I could not lose weight for the life of me. I was losing it really slow. And some of you are like, where is he going with this? Dude, remember I always circle back. And you guys gotta understand something. I'm a certified personal trainer. I've been a certified personal trainer 2020. I got my certification in 2000. So what is that, 24 years? And not like no knock on any personal trainers listening to this podcast, but there are different levels of how difficult it is to obtain your personal training certification. Every program to achieve and obtain your personal training certification is not created equal. There are some people that just go to get it done quick because they're trying to get into a gym like LA Fitness or whatever gym, right? A popular gym to train and train people. And so I get it and I understand that. But for me, starting to work out at 12 years old and then going to the gym with, my friends at 14, like working out was a big thing for me. And so I wanted to make sure I got a certification through the best program. So all of that said, I don't want to bash or praise. They're not going to pay me for saying this. So I'm not going to say who it is, but it's legit. It's definitely one of the top 2 programs to utilize. And if you're a personal trainer, you know exactly what the number 1 is and its expense and cost and time and all of that stuff. But the reason I bring that up and the reason I say that is because I was a personal trainer. And that's just one aspect of why I should have never got to be over 300 pounds. Another aspect, I worked literally selling diabetic medication. I had to understand every aspect of the endocrinology system, the cardiovascular system, the conjunction of the two, metabolic rates, your A1Cs, what indicates them, how, all of the things. Couldn't lose weight. Been working out for as long as I've been working out. Could not lose weight. Followed all of the things that everyone said. Could not lose weight. And so knowing all these things I knew, or at least thought I knew, I realized at that moment that I was gonna have to try something I didn't know. I was gonna have to get uncomfortable because, like, when you get uncomfortable, that's when growth happens, or in this case, shrinkage. Not that kind of shrinkage. Get your mind out of the gutter. What are you thinking about? But so for me, in looking at that, and then when I started to lose weight and going through it, and then realized how easy it was. I mean, easy. I remember it got to a point where I started promoting, like my diet journey and how I was losing weight. And I told people, I was like, listen, I remember getting on the scale every morning. I'd be like, look what I can do. I'm gonna drop the scale by a pound in 24 hours. And I'd get on the next day and I'd be at least a pound, maybe a pound and a half, maybe 2 pounds lighter. And it's so eerie and it's amazing because really, if you pay attention to your body and stop blocking yourself, it does exactly what you want it to do every single time. And that's gain weight, lose weight, get stronger. If you just do the simple things, your body will meet you where you are. Do the simple things consistently, and your body will meet you where you are. The issue that most have is that they don't do that, or they consistently do the thing that's keeping them in that spot, right? Like if I consistently kept eating donuts, shakes, French fries all before noon, what did I think was going to happen? Obviously, I was going to either keep getting fatter or at the very least not lose weight. And so I say all that to say I want to talk about regrets and I want to talk about how do I take moments like this where my heart is literally blown into pieces and make sense of it all, make sense of the emotions, make sense of the situation. How do I apply it in other areas of my life where I may also have regrets and where I may also be trying to break the cycle? Like right now, you know what the cycle is I'm trying to break? Wasting my time with money hungry bitches in general. Oh my goodness, I said it. I used the B word on the podcast. That felt so bad. But I just mean it. And for all of you women that feel offended because I use the bitch word, um, there are bitch men too, just as much as there are bitch women. And so, like, please don't take offense to the fact I said bitch unless you're a bitch. If you're a bitch, sign off. Um, but otherwise, don't be offended because I use the word. I seriously mean that. For the experiences I've had with the women and the way in which they have, the way in which I have allowed them to manipulate me, because I'm no victim here, it's crazy. So when I walked in here, after I went through the emotions of, oh my goodness, I feel this way, that way, and the other way, my question to myself was, dude, how did you get here and why? And then I realized, as I sat here and talked on episode one about why I wanted to do the Being Neo podcast and break out of a niche and all of that stuff, because I have so much. Why was it that I was the one putting myself in the box? I mean, like, legitimately, I was putting myself in a box. I have been putting myself in a box with women over and over and over again. The beautiful damsel in distress has been my woman for 20 years, 24 years. Holy crap. No wonder I haven't been married. And if I did get married, I'd be married with them for 24 years right now. Wow. Let's all take a moment and just think on that. Okay, let's not. But the reality is that's the case. So my very first serious girlfriend, like very first girlfriend I felt like I was in love with was in 1996. Our anniversary was April 3rd, 1996. Elena, if you're listening to this podcast, is it crazy that I still remember our anniversary day? She's married to a woman now, people, relax. Um, Seriously, like I can't believe I remember that. And Lisa, shout out to Lisa. I'm not saying any last names, but Lisa, if you're listening to this podcast, you'll forever be the person that connected me with my first love. Oh, that's why everybody should cue that. Cue that. Oh, but economics class, Mr. Grody. This is what I'm talking about, people. The random shit I remember that gets stuck in my head. God, it's a good thing I smoke. Um, so she was the first person I loved that I dated, but I never dated her for the typical reasons I would date someone. Um, I dated her because I thought she was really sweet. She was really cool, and People used to tease her like crazy. We're on the same bus route, and people used to tease her, and they tease her, and they tease her. And I remember analyzing the situation yesterday, thinking to myself, I got with her for the right reasons because of like the person that she was, not for her looks. And then I found her attractive. I didn't find her as attractive as I grew to find her, but I grew to find her more attractive. And so, what does that mean right now? Well, that's probably the last time I truly dated someone for who they were and not with a huge factor in how they looked first. Because, I mean, listen, men are visual people, right? So, like, if you don't look good, it's going to be really tough for men to get past that. Now, there are definitely different types and different things different men like, right? So, like, you can't think, okay, well, if you go down the path of consistently consistently doing the same thing and it's consistently not working well for you, that you should consistently choose the same path. And so what I mean by that is since then, most often I do like typical men. I look at a woman and I say, oh yeah, she's hot. I would talk to her. And then I figure out some kind of way to make that happen or utilize whatever convenient thing is, in alignment with what it is that I'm trying to do, like talk to this person. So what does that yield? Well, it yields a desire physically greater than a desire mentally and emotionally to get to know who that person is, regardless of the person. You're asking yourself and convincing yourself, or at least for me personally in my own cycle, physically the characteristics of this person, which is why when I was describing dinner with the grandmother, I was talking about the fact I was like, oh, she looks good. And she did. I mean, but what does that have to do with the price of tea in China? Have you ever heard that phrase? Like, what does that have to do with anything? The reality is that my heart continues to get broken because I put myself in relationships with women who fit in this box that need help desperately in one way, shape, or form. And I put my cape on and run to the rescue to help. And so when I'm sitting here reflecting on things and I'm asking myself, well, damn, do I regret this? No, fuck no, I don't regret it. I don't regret any of it. Why? And some of you are like, oh, well, because you learned this life lesson. No, fuck, no, that's not why. I would love to learn life lessons without getting my heart broken. It's absolutely not necessary to have your heart broken to learn. Okay, so let's just put that out there. No, it's the fact that I learned and I had moments, and I had moments that right now, even still, I can close my eyes and think about, and I love them. They were great. They were priceless. Um, her son used to feed Logan, my dog. I thought it was hilarious because I don't realize how particular I am, but I am very, very particular. I do things the same way, the same time, every single time. And it's the reason why it allows me to be exhausted sometimes and still get things done at a level of excellence, not because I'm excellent, but because I repetitiously do the same things. And so this box that I put myself in with looking at beautiful women, going down the rabbit hole of courting what didn't even start as a courtship worth traveling down, and then ending up with the heartbreak thinking, oh my goodness, what? And so, no, I need to reflect on. And as I sat and went through those things, the good moments, like her son taking care of Logan, and me thinking and laughing through why and how I found something to be so easy because I repetitiously do it. And it was so, so, so complicated. And I don't know. I mean, those kind of things. He was 12, so he's 13 now. In this moment in time, he was 12, but still, like some of the things I'm like, oh come on, man. And so those are moments I keep. The moments with her, same thing. So I don't regret any of those things. Like these are moments and memories that I have that I'll always be able to reflect on. Like the whole reason to live life is to create the memories that you can reflect on when you need to reflect on. when you need a boost, when you need to feel love, when you need to feel valued, when you need to feel any of those things, there are positive memories that you can reflect on. So I'm never going to regret any positive moments I've been able to create with someone and shared time with them that allow me now the fortunate ability to reflect on those positive things. Now, the flip side of that, some of you might be thinking, yeah, but what about all the bullshit? Bruh, North Carolina, she's a narcissist. I felt like, honestly, felt like I made this scarred for life from her. Oh my goodness. Because even saying, I went this period of time where I was like, she's not even worth saying her name. I'm not going to say her name. And that feeling was so strong that it led me to realize I was still very much hurt by all of it. But why? And it was because it didn't turn out the way I wanted it. Right? Like, I didn't go into this, but a week before I was going to ask her to marry me is when I found out she was cheating. So, I mean, I left my wife for this woman and was about to make her my wife and found out, excuse me, for all of you women that just gasped, like, did he say he was going to make someone his? I was going to ask her to be my wife. Okay, is that better? And it blew up in my face, and to find out the most horrible thing you could find out, other than the fact that maybe someone was carrying a baby that you thought was yours and it wasn't. And no, that didn't happen. I'm just throwing that out there. So saying all of that and going through all of that, for me, it just it's tough. It's tough to get over. Anytime you're with a narcissist, they're tough to get over. And we can have a whole episode on that altogether. I think I want to have that episode where I talk with a friend. Shout out to Karen. I think you're up for that one. I think you and I are going to have the narcissist conversation. But oh my goodness, that would be such a good podcast with her. So Karen, you've been put on notice, and she's one of my best friends. You need to come on the podcast. We're going to talk about our narcissistic experiences. So then I had to go through and process with therapy and understand, like, hey, why are you so hurt? The pain is done. You can't do anything about it. But reflecting on and just spending the amount of time that I was spending thinking about the pain was not helping me heal. And it was making me devalue the time spent and really regret it, when the reality is, oh my goodness, there were such beautiful moments with that narcissist. They were probably 100% fake moments, but they were beautiful nonetheless, right? It doesn't matter if I'm looking at a painting that someone drew with their hand or if I'm looking at a painting that was created with artificial intelligence. If I find the painting beautiful, it's beautiful. And so it doesn't matter that there were so many lies in any of the relationships I've been in or any of the relationships that didn't work out. I can choose to look at those moments and reflect on them, remember them, the positive things, and then smile and understand that that was for a purpose. So, why am I saying all that? Well, because in order to be new, in order to be Neo, in order for me to not bleed on someone else that did not cause the wound, obviously I have to heal, right? But more importantly, I have to be able to constantly look at anything that's disappointing from yesterday and be able to move into tomorrow with 100% confidence and belief that it can and I can do or be that thing. Meaning, it does not matter if it's weight loss and looking at weight loss differently. It does not matter if it's relationships and doing relationships differently. It doesn't matter if I have been an accountant for 30 years and I fucking hate numbers. And I'm like, oh, I've got to do this different. You can do it differently. And you got to let go of the fact it doesn't matter that you've been an accountant for 30 years. Be something else tomorrow, today. It does not matter that you had planned to go to this school. Pivot, do something else. The flexibility of letting go of yesterday and embracing 100% the possibility of today opens the door for your tomorrow to be absolutely anything you make it. Let me say that one more time. The ability to let go and reflect on yesterday, not allowing it to impede on your today, not allowing it to change the lenses of how you're viewing today, but reflect on them, enjoy them, let them go, and embrace today completely with the ability and opportunity that it is a new day and that you have today to do anything, because the things that happened yesterday don't matter, will always allow you the opportunity to make tomorrow whatever it is you choose or want to make it. Because literally you're saying to yourself, none of the past minutes matter. It's only right now and moving into the future that does. And so for me to get to this being Neo spot, to not have regrets, to be able to reflect on these moments and embrace them and not carry around all this pain and not bleed on the others that haven't cut me, I had to really let go and say, what am I regretting? This was beautiful. Yeah, I mean, let's say you're in Costa Rica and it starts to rain. No, that's probably not the best outcome if you've got to now walk through the jungles of Costa Rica in the rain, but it's still beautiful. And that's what I've learned. There may be some imperfections in the picture or in the story, but it doesn't change the fact it's a beautiful story. And so it may not have ended, it may not end beautifully, but that doesn't mean it didn't begin magically, right? Like these are the things. Okay, I said that, and as I said that, I started feeling things like missing those positives. Literally, I'm sitting here reflecting on the different moments. The narcissist and I took her to the Biltmore Hotel in North Carolina, and when I took her to the Biltmore, when I do things, people, I do things big. So I took her to the Biltmore. I got all of the passes for all of the places. We spent the entire day there, and it was fantastic. It was hot. My God, it was hot. It was fantastic. And it was a surprise. Like this whole trip, I was a surprise. Um, and that was the first thing that popped in my mind as I started thinking about things, because that was a magical weekend. Should we talk about it? We're going to talk a little bit about it. So I love people. These stories are great. We got to hear these stories. So true transparency. So I met this girl on Seeking. I'm married. She's has a boyfriend. She thinks I have a girlfriend. She doesn't know I'm married when I first meet her. And the arrangement basically is I'm supporting her financially, and we have fun every Thursday. I say things like, I tell you guys, I say on my social media, Friday Eve is my favorite day of the week. I was born on a Thursday. So if I'm gonna choose a day that I'm gonna have the company of a beautiful woman, have sex, and I'm supporting this person financially, it might as well be on my favorite day of the week, right? So it's on Thursdays. So that's it. We'd always see each other on Thursdays. Sometimes I want to say maybe like twice we did overnights on Thursdays, and I, no, we didn't do overnights. We did late as hell nights. They weren't overnights. They were like ending at like 3 or 4 in the morning. Oof, man, how did I get away with this stuff? I'm going home to my wife in bed with my wife after three. Mm, it's horrible. I don't say these things to sound proud. I hope when I say these things, you guys aren't over here like, oh, I hope he doesn't want a high five for that. Because I'm not saying that with pride. I'm saying it like, damn, man. Huh, it was sad. All right, so just Biltmore, surprise. The first particular weekend she asked me, she said, hey, a friend has a condo out in Myrtle Beach. What are you thinking? Do you want us to go? It'll be the like first time to be able to spend, a couple of consecutive nights together. And I was like, okay, bet, let's do it. I'll figure it out. We'll go. So I figured it out. We went to Myrtle Beach. That was the first time I smoked flower actually. When I say flower, I don't mean like plants. I mean like actual marijuana, the flower, like the flower. Um, Before that, it had only been like distillate pens and rosin, but none of that's important. The point is, we have this weekend, and it's amazing. It's incredible in Myrtle Beach. And so after that weekend, I remember the drive home. Such a great conversation. It was a very vulnerable conversation with the two of us. Um, and after, it's like, okay, that was great, but now I want to plan. I want to plan a trip where we go, and it's got to be someplace else, and it's got to be amazing. It's got to be special. And she is a huge like. I One of the things that blew my mind, other than the fact that I thought she was absolutely gorgeous, was her accent. So she's Colombian, Colombian American, but she has the Southern belle accent. Like if you wouldn't hear her, if she was on the podcast right now and it didn't have video, you would think she was blonde hair, blue eyed, from I don't know Mississippi or something. Like that's how thick her Southern accent is, and she's 100% Colombian, like through and through, and is fluent in Spanish and everything else. So it's just the dichotomy of it was amazing. So I'm like, well, we have to do something like super North Carolina ish, but close too, because we're both cheating on our significant other to spend time together. So it can't be anything like that's got us too far gone. All right, so we go to Asheville. And so we go to Biltmore. She doesn't know we're going to the mansion. At this point in time, we're just going to Asheville for the weekend. So I planned this amazing dinner. We go to this restaurant. It's at the Grove Park Inn called Sunset Terrace because it has the best sunsets overlooking the Appalachian Mountains. I mean, it's just absolutely gorgeous. And so we arrive just in enough time. Check into Airbnbs is typically 3 o'clock. So we arrived just in enough time for us both to shower, change, and make the dinner reservations that she didn't know I made. And we get to this restaurant, and guys, I'm a chef. Like I cook like you would not believe. Studying culinary was a thing, not nearly long enough. It should have been for years, but it was sufficient for what I needed to do for work in cooking. And I have worked in several restaurants. That all of that is just these are details that matter because I want her to eat at Sunset Terrace. Which, by the way, if you are ever in Asheville, North Carolina, Grove Park Inn is the hotel. It is I think it's labeled as a historic property. And I mean, it's amazing, but the food, they have several different restaurants that are delicious, but Sunset Terrace, it's delicious. So take it to this restaurant. It's romantic, sunset, timing, all of it is great. I actually timed the reservation based on when the sun was supposed to set that day, because those details matter. And it was just one of the few times I sat across the table from a woman with nothing else on my mind other than just soaking in all of her. And she tried something she had never tried before. I don't even know if she remembers this now. I don't know if she listens to this podcast. Um, Cayenne. I had to think of like what I could call her to call her out without calling her name if she is listening to the podcast. So I used to call her Cayenne because of her attitude. She's very spicy. Um, so, oh my God, I'm sitting here thinking about some of the other things of that weekend. But we have this dinner. So I don't know if she'll remember this, but it was the first time she tasted scallops, and they were delicious. And I remember when she tasted them and how she just kept going on and on and on. Now, granted, she's a fucking narcissist, so the reality is maybe she didn't even like these fucking scallops, but the way she kept going on and on about them, I think she did. So years later, we're living in the penthouse together, and our neighbors and us decided to have like a little barbecue. It's like a little barbecue get together, whatever. Smoke, do edibles, hang out at the pool. It was good times. Um, and I made scallops, and I specifically made scallops because I wanted to show her that I could make scallops even better than Sunset Terrace. Shout out to Ellen and Nick, friends of mine. Do you guys remember those scallops? Oh my God, they were so good. I love scallops. I love cooking in general. I love sharing my heart through food. And these scallops were amazing. So my point in saying all of this is these are memories right now, and I'm feeling like, oh. And as I think on them, you see them smiling, like they're happy moments. And I mean, we had a bunch of great happy moments. Man, I made her banana pudding that weekend at like 4 o'clock in the morning. And while we were while we're waiting on the banana pudding to cool, we literally we're in a. You guys don't need these details, but like these are the reasons. If you're trying to figure out why you should listen to the Being You podcast, is because nobody else. I don't care who it is. Nobody else is this transparent with how they share their life. We rented a tiny house because I wanted it to be like this cute getaway or whatever. But our sex was just it set the bar, man. It really set the bar. I think for both of us, it was the first time that we could allow ourselves to emotionally get involved with someone as deeply as we were sexually attracted to each other. Our physical and sexual chemistry was just, yo, next next level. Next level. I mean, we used to fuck in public places not because we had to, but because we had to. Like we could go back to our apartment, we could go back to our hotel room, we could go to where we needed to go to have our privacy, but we could not wait that long. Like it was like that. It was like that to the end. It was like that. And so we made this banana pudding, and I remember waiting for it to cool and fucking her on the kitchen counter, thinking to myself, life does not get better than this. Like the day, all this time, smoking, talking, connection, waiting on banana pudding, fucking on the counter, just in this tiny home. It felt like the whole fucking tiny house was shaking. Okay. Oh, it's fantastic. And so these are good moments. I say all that to say, sitting here and reflecting, full speed ahead, back to the situation. Fuck, man, I can't keep going through that cycle and system of things. There is a girl right now that I said I we could do lunch, and no, I can't do lunch now. I've had other things that have changed since then, but I'm not going to text her to adjust it. You know why? Because I spoke with her yesterday to arrange things for lunch tomorrow, and I hadn't heard from her all today. So the reality is, I'm probably not going to hear from her in the morning. And she's one of those girls that's she's hot, but she's like a typical Medellin paisa. She's got multiple boyfriends, and I know this up front based on how I met her. How I met her is not important, but based on how I met her, like I already know she is a typical paisa. And it's so stupid because I said to her, I was like, "You're not going to play the game, right? Like, you understand that I live here. It's not. You're not going to get over on me with like the rest of it. If things with us get serious, like it's just us. There is no like all the rest of the nonsense has to stop." And she said, "Oh, of course. Like, I want something. I want something serious too." So I was like, "Okay." Um, but like you can see like movement again, social media, and I'm just like, oh, but she's so hot. So I still wanted to set up a lunch. And then today I was thinking on things as I was getting ready and deciding like what it was that I wanted to talk through. And I was like, dude, you got to stop the cycle, bro. Because the reality is what happens is I allow myself to physically get connected and attached to these women. And then I start giving myself these excuses for why it's okay this, why it's okay that, why it's okay. And these are all things that aren't conducive with the woman that I want for me. So like, dude, break the fuck out of the box. Why do we keep doing the same thing? And we could call it differently. We could say, oh no, it wasn't that. Listen, it absolutely was. My ex-wife, dude, the beginning of our relationship, pre-sex, the makeouts were intense, man. You know that kind of making out where you're like fully groping, like intense, the intense grope that's like, man, it's just, and yeah. So like, the reality is, I can't do any of those things. I love sex, but I cannot. You want to get to me. You want to get with me. Sex can't be something that we throw in the beginning. I promise it'll be good when it happens. We can't throw it in the beginning because it's just confuses shit. And I know this is the thing that all parents tell their kids when they're having the birds and the bees conversations. Well, not my parents, I didn't have that conversation, but um, like I would imagine this is what you tell your kids, right? Like, hey, it's complicated and it's this and that. But the reality is, it's a soul tie. So, um, just I don't know, I can't. So there are a couple of women that I'm interested in right now that aren't Pisces, here in Medellin, and there's one that really has my interest, and I've been trying to have coffee with her for months now, legitimately, it's months, and it's okay, and I'm in for it because she is the hardest working woman I've met since I've been here in the last 3 years, and she's so sweet. So it's different, and I'm here for it. The other thing I want to say is really, really important, and then I'm going to get off of this thing because we're 40 minutes in now. Um, if you are in a relationship with a narcissist right now, if you're in a relationship you need to get out of right now, if you are trying to figure out or find your value, find or build a relationship with a best friend or find a better best friend. Because one of the things I have learned in these last 3 years, is that I have never felt loved by anyone, including my ex wives, the way in which my friends have shown me love and allowed me to feel loved these last 2 years with how they've supported me, new friends I've met and made. Um, I have love for my friends, but to actively tell my friends I love them, that's new for me. It's new for me, but it feels so good to truly have people in my life that see me for who I am and love me for that. They love me for the craziness that is. Fuck it, let's do it. I don't care. I'm all in. It doesn't matter yesterday. Just I had a friend call me last podcast I recorded. I think it was like 4 o'clock in the morning. And she was sad. She texted me. She said, "Hey, are you up?" And I said, I don't sleep. What's up? Literally, that was my response. I'm like, I don't sleep. What's up? And she had some things she had to say. She said them. I responded. Um, she said, "I love you," and she went to sleep. So did I. And why am I saying that? Because we both slept really good that night. She slept at peace. I slept at peace. I mean, we both smoked, so that helped. But it was this ability to have a connection and call on someone and then be there, and then not being my significant other, but knowing that it's someone that loves me just the same. And I felt great that I could be there for them. Yesterday, one of these women that I'm telling you I'm very interested in that I have not been able to have coffee with, she asked me how I was, and I was like, I've just been going through it. I got a lot of things going on, and I've been working through solutions. I've been like problem solving every day. And she told me, listen, I've been extremely busy. I think things will free up a little bit more for me on Friday. She said, but if you call me, I'll answer, and I'll make the time to talk to you if you need, which meant the world to me. But again, these are things coming from friends. Oh my God, I had a friend write a book. She wrote a book, and she then proceeds to tell me this particular character in said book she wrote it with me in her mind. And I don't even know what to say to that. Like, you wrote a, a book and thought of me as you wrote it? Fuck. I was going to take my life. I didn't think I had any kind of impact in the world like that. But I do. And I continue. So, all of that said, listen, embrace your friendships. Embrace your friendships. If you are in a relationship pattern of dating the same assholes or money hungry bitches, gold diggers, scrubs, chicken heads, any of those songs, um, break the cycle by loving on your friends and learning how to be loved, because most of us accept what we've never known any better than. And that's been my experience. And the love that my friends are showing me now, and it's not that they're just showing me now, I wasn't seeing it before. I wasn't even looking for it, if I'm being honest. Um, it's amazing. It's amazing. That's it. Love, peace, and hair grease. Be new. It does not matter what happened yesterday. It doesn't matter what bad choices, decisions you made yesterday. I'm not saying that there won't be consequences to them. Please don't misunderstand me. Everything that's set in motion has an action and a reaction. That's the nature of physics. But it doesn't matter because you can't do anything to change yesterday. So stop dwelling on it. Be you. Most of the reason we get into situations and problems and things that we shouldn't have been in the first fucking place is because we were accepting less than what was ideal and less than what we wanted in the first place. We were exchanging what we felt was of value for our value and our peace. Be Neo. Be Neo. Because the reality is sometimes we don't have the strength to be the thing we need to be in the current state that we're in our current outlook, in our current position. So I'm giving you the authority to call yourself and use the word Neo and be new. This is me giving you the permission to be new because you can be. And if you were waiting and have been waiting on someone to tell you and embrace that fact, this is me telling you, hey, you can be new right now. So be new, be you, be Neo. Until the next episode, people, thank you so much. Go to the website, check the links in the description. You need a piece over everything or paz over todo, but you need one shirt, a mug, a hoodie, maybe one for each, maybe one of each, one for each, maybe one of each. But rep your piece, embrace yourself, your authenticity, because the reality is there's no time like today. Tomorrow is not promised. Yesterday is not important. So do it now. Thanks, guys, so much. Peace.